Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Rav Yehuda said the name of Shmuel. Hamachlif pora b'chamor. Okay, now we speak about there's a kinyan called kinyan chalipin. It's called bartering, exchanging. I say when you take my donkey, right, your cow becomes mine. Okay. Now the question is, and then we find I said hamachlif pora b'chamor umosho balachamor seporo. The person who owned the donkey takes possession of the cow, right? You exchange a cow for a donkey. Now the man who owns the donkey says, when I take the cow, my donkey should become yours. Okay? And then the one who owned the cow goes to where the donkey is supposed to be, finds the donkey's dead. So the one who was supposed to own the donkey says, you know something? Maybe the donkey died before you took possession of the cow. So there was never an exchange. If there was an exchange, they were both alive, and subsequently it dies. So whose donkey died? The one who actually originally owned the cow. But if the donkey already died before the exchange, there was never an exchange, because we're exchanging one living animal for the other animal, right? That's the discussion over here. Machlif por b'chamor v'moshe balachamor esaporo lo hism balaporo limsho chesachamor achemes. And before the one who owned the cow had a chance to take limsho means to be koner. Limsho chachamor, to take possession of the donkey, he finds the donkey dead. Achemes chamor al balachamor lov yurayo. Hear this? So now, who's in possession of the cow? The one who originally owned the donkey. So the one who owned the donkey originally, who took the cow, says, you know something? When I took possession of the donkey, of the cow, the donkey was alive. You bring proof. If you want me to return your cow, bring proof that the donkey was dead when I took possession of the cow. Yeah? Because the one who owned the donkey now is in possession of the cow. And when we took possession, we weren't aware. The presumption was that the donkey was alive. Now the one who owned the cow go take possession of the donkey, finds the donkey dead. So he says, well, the donkey died before. He says, you know something, bring proof. It died before, then we'll talk about you getting your cow back. Until then, there's a principle of the burden of proof is in the one you want to extract money from me. Since the person's in possession of the donkey, the one who owned the cow originally has to bring proof that the donkey wasn't alive when he took possession of the cow. Right? That's the discussion between these two individuals. So Rav Yehuda says the name is Shmuel, that the burden of proof is on the one who originally owned the donkey, originally owned the cow, originally owned the cow. You have to prove that the donkey wasn't alive when the other person took possession of the cow. Is it clear? Simple. Okay? Al balachamor love yurayo. Excuse me. Al balachamor love yurayo. Shoyachamor kaim b'shas meshichas poro. The one who originally owned the donkey has to bring proof that the donkey was alive when he took possession of the cow. Even though factually, today he's in possession of the cow, but the only reason why you're able to come in possession of the cow is because there was an exchange of a donkey. But if the donkey already died before, there's no exchange. So the one who took possession of the cow has to bring proof that his donkey was alive when he why? Because there was a morikama. Because originally, who owned the cow? Who owned the cow? The other person. And the relinquishing of that cow only came about if there was an exchange with a donkey. But since there's a chance the donkey wasn't alive when he took possession of the cow, so there was no exchange. So the burden of proof lies on the original owner of the donkey to prove that it was alive originally when the exchange took place. Okay? V'tanatuna kalo. And we're able to bring proof. Here, Rabbi Yehuda says in the Shul from our Mishnah, the case of the kala. Right? We had the Mishnah. The Mishnah says like this. This Mishnah was Shabbos Mishnah. Person goes and he marries a woman on the condition she has no mumin, physical defects. And then afterwards, he marries her, Kedushin, and we find the mumin already exists when she's in her father's household. So the question is, did those mumin, did they exist pre-Kedushin or they happen after Kedushin? If they happen after Kedushin, she's married. If they pre-existed the marriage, the Kedushin, she's not married. So the Mishnah says when she's in the house of in the household of the father has to bring proof that the mumin did not pre-exist the marriage. But let's say he already went to chuppah with her. And now he discovers the mumin after the chuppah. So where the mumin found? In the household of the husband. So now the husband, if he doesn't want to pay the ksuba, he has to be proof that the mumin pre-existed the kedushin. But if he can't, then it's his wife. He has to pay out full. Okay. So he says, "We'll bring." So what would that? So which cases would it be comparable to? Seemingly, he's in the possession. She's fully in his domain. Right. When do we find out the problem? The cow was in the domain of the one who owned the donkey originally, and now you find out the donkey is dead. So we say that Shmuel says, Rabbi says, name is Shmuel, that the one who owned the donkey, he has to bring proof, even though the cow is now in the possession of the one who owns the cow, owned the donkey. So this would be similar to what? When you find out that the mumin exists in the household of the husband, and yet it says, so if you go with that, you'd say, who does the burden of proof lie on? It should lie on the father. But it says, no, that since you discover the problem later, it's the later person's problem. So if you found the donkey dead later, whose problem should it be? It should be the one who owned the cow's problem. But he said the name of Shmuel, no. It's the one who originally owned the donkey's problem. So but we have two cases. Hi kalo. Which case of kalo? Of course, the Gemara says before there was a contradiction in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that when she's in the household of the father, you have to bring proof that it did not pre-exist the what? The marriage. When she's in the household of the husband, Samaris the stira. Because there's an argument to Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Gamliel, and Rabbi Yeshua. Whenever you find a problem, do you go after chazok or not? So the Gemara says the first statement in the Mishnah is going like Rabbi Yeshua, and the latter statement is going like Rabbi Gamliel. There's a question for a man marries a woman, and he finds her not to be a virgin. Okay? So she claims she was raped after they were married, after she was married. And therefore, he owes her a ksuba of 200. He claims, maybe you were raped, maybe you weren't a psula when I married you originally. Therefore, I only owe you 100. So Rabbi Shua says, Lo mi piyah nochayim. We don't rely on what she says. And until she brings proof that she was raped after she was married, she only gets 100, she doesn't get 200. Wait, forget about the moment. That's what Rabbi Shua says. Rabbi Leo says, no, you go after Chazokah. She was born a virgin. We say she lost her virginity the latest time possible. So when is that? That's after the marriage. Therefore, what do? You pay her ksuba of 200. So over here, if we're going to go after Chazokah, right, the animal was alive, right? When they originally make the exchange, pre-exchange, the animal was alive. It's alive. The animal's alive. And now the animal died. So when do you say it died? It died later. It was alive, died later. Or do we say no? It's similar to the case we said before. According to Rabbi Yeshua, what's the halacha? We say no. Even if you find it later, we don't believe what she says. We say lo b'piyah nechaim. We don't rely on it. She has a chesed saguf. She has a presumed status. She was born a virgin. It happened later. So we'll see. So says high kala. Which case of kala in the Mishnah? Ilema kala beisovia. The case which you find she's still a kala in her father's household after she was betrothed. Okay. Midomi. Hoso maisi av rayo umapik. Over there, why does the father have to bring the proof? Because she's still in his household. Hocha maisi balachamor rayo umukim. There to Rashi. Midomi. Hosam din hu shetzorch lavi rayo asher hu motz chavero. Over there, why does the father have to bring proof? The father wants to extract the ksuba from the husband. The husband claims that the mum existed before the marriage. The father says it existed post-marriage, post-kedushin. So who wants to take money from who? It says in the Mishnah, the father has to bring proof. If she's in the father's household, he has to bring proof. Right? Hosa maisi avrayu mapik. Over here, the father is the motzi. He wants to take money from who? From the husband. Hocha maisi balachamor rayo umukim. Over here, we're saying the one who owns the donkey, who originally owned the donkey, you to retain. He's not taking the money away from the original owner of the cow. He wants to retain it. So they're not comparable. In the case of the Mishnah, the reason why the father should be proved, because the father wants to extract money from the husband, then he should pay a full ksuba, correct? But over here, in whose possession is it? When do we find out the donkey was dead? After the original owner of donkey is in possession. So we'll bring proof to do what? To retain it. They're not comparable. Omer Abba, so Rabbi Abba says no. The proof is not from the first case of Kala, the first case of the Mishnah where you find she's blemished in the household of the father, but rather Kala Beis Chomiho. She finds out that she has the blemish which after chuppah, post chuppah. Right, 1 second. So post chuppah, what are you doing? So the Mishnah says the husband has to bring proof that what? So the father has the right to the ksuba now. She has the right to ksuba. He doesn't want to pay the ksuba. Okay, so for him not to pay, he has to bring proof. Gemara says, Vakati lo domi. They're still not comparable. The husband, which he's now, he has to be proof to show that the chazok of the av is not valid. Here the balachamor is establishing the chazok is what? Is a viable chazok. Omer Adachbar Yitzchok. Kalo Beisovio. The proof is from Kalo in the household of the father, Ula Kedushin. Meaning, the question is, returning the money of the Kedushin. Yeah, this man marries a woman, gives her money. So if it turns out that the whole thing was under false pretenses, does she have to return the money? Doesn't she have to return the money? So she's in possession of the money. It's not to take the ksuba. We're talking about actually the money that he married her with. Does she have to return the money? Does she have to return the money? And it's not going according to, there's a machlokes in Bava Basra. What happens if a man marries a woman? He gives a kedushin, so it's a full marriage. And he dies before the chuppah. The husband dies before the chuppah. The money or the ring that he gave her to marry with, does she have to return it or not? So there's an argument. You'd say the man only gave her the money in marriage. If ultimately it would come to chuppah. But in fact, it was never meant to be because the man died. Maybe she has to return it. So there's an argument, is the money lost regardless? Or no, she has to return it. Tavua mean like tovea. It's like sunk in the ocean, finished, it's gone. So it says, he says, and this discussion now has nothing to do with that discussion of Bava Basra. There's the question, the marriage is definitely a good marriage, kedushin. The husband dies before he makes it to the chuppah. So now the question is, does the kala, who never made it to chuppah, does she have to return the money to the family of the husband? And he was the husband, okay? Even if you say over there, the money does not come back. Hani Mili Kedushin, there was a valid marriage, right? No, so that's the discussion over there. It was Kedushin before Chuppah. But here we're talking about, was the marriage ever a marriage? We're not speaking about the marriage was a marriage, and now the question is, does she have to return the money? Here is the question, if the marriage wasn't a marriage, then she definitely has to return the money, right? He only gave her the money in marriage, but if the marriage is not a marriage, right? If the father brings proof that what? That she did not have the blemishes, then what? Then she keeps it. Lo, but if not now, so our case, whether we're talking about the ksuba or we're talking about the money, it has no relevance. It has no relevance to our Mishnah. Meisvei. Machat shenimtzis be'ovei beisakosos. Now, a cow has 4 stomachs. One of the stomachs is called beisakosos. What is it called beisakosos? Because if you look at the stomach, it looks like an egg. It looks like when you buy eggs by the gross. It's like an egg carton. So the walls, let's say, from one compartment to the next, it's like a double wall, right? There's the wall the egg sits in, and then it's what? It curves down, comes up. So it comes out, it's a double wall. That's the way this stomach looks. It's called beisakos because it looks like cups. So now, let's say let's say a cow has its stomach is punctured with a needle, and the needle goes straight through both sides. What's the halacha? It's a treifa. The animal is not kosher. What happens if it's the beisakosos? It goes through one wall, so one wall is fully penetrated, but the adjoining wall but there's an adjoining wall which protects the opening of where the needle went straight through. You got it? So if it protects it, therefore, the opening doesn't put the animal's life in jeopardy. It protects it. Okay? So you find a machat ba'ofi beisakos is mitzad echot ksheiro. If you only find that it perforated one wall, not both walls, didn't go through both sides, it's kosher. Why? Because, as I said, the second wall protects it. It's like it went through only halfway through the wall. What about mishnei tzodim? What about it fully went through both walls? Right? Treifa. Not, of course, treifa. What about nimtzo le'kored dam? Let's say you find blood at the tip of the needle. So when did we say it went through? When it was alive, right? It went through, 1 second, and it clotted on the tip of the needle, the blood. So then you know for a fact, when did the needle perforate the stomach? When it was alive. Lo nibtzule koredam. Let's say you find no blood on the needle, just like it was dipped in blood, but there was no clotting. It happened after the animal's kosher, even if it's through both. Sometimes he said it was in the stomach, maybe through the movement it was pushed through. That's how the needle got there. Huglat piamako. What about you find it went through both sides, and there's a scab on the perforation. So if there's a scab, that means the hole pre-existed before it died, because it couldn't scab, right? You do the examination, you find a scab. So piamako biyadua shloshi yom kodim shchita. It takes 3 days for something to scab internally. So that you know factually this hole pre-existed the shechita 3 days earlier, minimally 3 days. Therefore, the animal is definitely a treifa. A treifa, no question. Lohug lepiamako. What about if there was no scab? Now we have a question. The seller sells an animal to the shochet. Buys an animal, right? In the old days, you go to the cattle dealer. I want an animal. Now the shochet slaughters it. He opens up the animal. He finds a pin going through both sides of the stomach. So the seller says, you know, that happened afterwards. So if there would have been a perforation, if there would have been a scab, the shochet says, what are you talking about? This wound is minimally 3 days old. I just bought the thing yesterday. So if I just bought it yesterday, evidently this pre-existed you selling it to me. Therefore, the sale's not a sale. He has to return his money. The seller has to return the money to the buyer. Correct? What happens if there's no blood on the thing? Right? Wait. What happens if our whole discussion is here? What? It went through both sides, and there's no scab. So it's a question: did it happen post-sale? Did it happen pre-sale? No, that's a good question. So what do we say? The burden of proof. Let's say he paid the seller the money. You claim it happened before. You bring proof it happened before. I'm happy to give you back the money. But if you can't prove that it happened before, I keep the money, because maybe it happened in your domain after you purchased it. That's when its stomach was perforated. Right? It's a logical argument here. Okay? So it says, if it's lohug lepiamaka, the perforation is not scabbed. Okay? Then the burden of proof is what on the, when this is v'yov tabach domi. 1 second. So normally, the seller cannot demand money from the buyer if he didn't pay yet. Just take your animal back, it's over. But let's say the tabach, the shochet paid, so then he has to bring proof that it pre-existed the sale, and only then he'll give him back his money. Okay? V'yov tabach demei, if the tabach's the butcher, he paid, boy lasuyirayo umapik, he has to bring proof that the perforation pre-existed the sale, and then he'll get his money back. Famai balabehema laisi rayo v'nukim stop rayo. We said now, you're saying in the name of Shmuel that I have a donkey, you have a cow. I take possession of the cow. Now we find the cow's dead. So what do we say? We say that the Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Rabbi said in the name of Shmuel, that the one who has the cow in his possession, who originally owned the donkey, he has to bring proof that the donkey was alive at the time of the exchange. Why? We're saying now that if the what's his name? If he paid money to the seller, the tabach has to bring proof to get his money back. It's the same thing over here. I took the cow. I took the cow, it's like you paid the money. Now the cow died. Now the donkey dies. The question is, when did it die? Did it die before the exchange or die after the exchange? But actually, when do we find out the whole discussion? Afterwards. Just as over there, if the shochit paid, the seller could say, you bring proof it happened before, I'll give you your money back. Over here, that the owner of the donkey already took possession of the cow, he should say to the other person who owned the cow, look, I already have the cow. You bring proof that the animal died, the donkey died before the exchange, you'll get your cow back. But until then, you don't get your cow back. Right? We're quoting a Mishnah. The Mishnah says if the money was given, then the burden of proof is on the shochit. So over here, the deal was done. The one who owned the donkey now has the cow. Right? So if he has the cow, you want your cow back. Bring proof that the donkey was dead at the time of the exchange. So the Gemara says, what are you going to tell me? You're going to say, maybe we'll speak about the reason why the burden of proof, it's speaking about that the tabach did not pay money. Right? What it says. If the tabach gave money, we say then the tabach has to bring proof to get his money back. Someone says, tabach dummy. 1 second. Why do we say the case is speaking about we didn't give the money, and therefore the seller, he wants to get money from the tabach. 1 second. There you go. Yet we're speaking about where the one who wants his money, it's not the buyer wants his money back, but the seller wants to get paid for the cow. That's the case of Motzchev Raya. So that would be the equivalent of what we're talking about. That even though you already took possession of the cow, doesn't make a difference. You want your money, you prove. Similar to over here. Even though you have the cow's in my possession, it's not in your possession until you prove me that the donkey was alive. Someone says, my comment is for Leilatan the Lolam Rai al Bala Behema. He Beinu Amotzi, Beinu Amaimid, Hechu Shoina, Amotzchavil of Rai, Behema, Kore Labal, the Bala Behema, Ola Motzchavarech, he Psak, Poskatana Dovakotsus, Ola Mochim Behemis, Monavu Amotzi. He says the reason why it's difficult, it says over here that it's speaking we didn't give money. I mean, if we're quoting a Mishnah, the Mishnah says we always have Motzchavarech Raya. Motzchavarech means regardless whether you gave money or you didn't give money. So it goes on both sides, whether it's the seller or the buyer. So we're saying the buyer, even though he took possession of the animal, right, and he paid the money, right, the butcher does not have to return his money. It says over here, if we're saying now, the Satan is a specific case, that's a dochik. We're speaking regardless. We're saying that the butcher, the seller, if he wants to retain the money, but it doesn't say that. It says the butcher has to, the shochet has to bring the proof. Aye, but the seller, the cattleman is no different than the one who took possession of the cow. So on that, Eloki also Rami Bar Yecheskel. So we have a problem with Shmuel. Reb Yehuda quotes Shmuel that he says that the burden of proof is on the one who has the donkey, the cow today, who originally had the donkey. So when Rami Bar Yecheskel comes, he says, "Lo taitzinu lahani kloli the kal Yehuda ochi mishmei de Shmuel." He says, even though my brother Yehuda is quoting Shmuel, don't rely on what he says, because we have difficulty. He says, what he's saying is not necessarily what Shmuel said. He's making a mistake. He doesn't quote accurately. Rami Bar Yecheskel saying his brother does not quote accurately. Yeah? Hochiam Shmuel, Kol Shino Litzof Yerushuso, Olav Harayo. You hear this? Just the opposite. That wherever the question rises in his Rishus, the other person has to bring the proof. So who has to bring the proof? Not the one who has the donkey, the cow. After the exchange is done, the one who's supposed to own the donkey, he has to prove the donkey died before the exchange. Right. You're Norman.
So even though he has possession of the cow.
No, just the opposite. We're saying because he has possession of the cow, therefore the burden of proof is on the other person. We're saying the quote initially was incorrect quote. He wasn't quoting Shmuel accurately. we're saying that since the donkey is in the rishus, the cow is in the rishus of the buyer,
And the donkey's
donkey Teddy's dead.
right.
So-
whose rishus is it in?
We don't know whose rishus it's in. We know the cow's in the possession of the one who originally owned the donkey. Correct? And the way Review the quote Shmuel says the burden of proof is on who?
On the other person.
Which other person?
Not the person who owns the cow. It's the other
No,
person.
originally he said it's on the one who has the cow.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
No. He quoted him.
Say the-
Review the said name is Shmuel. You exchange the cow for the donkey. He takes possession of the cow.
that
You got it?
leave it, so it goes like this, but the donkey is still.
It goes like this. Scratch your right. Again, let's start over again. You don't have to make hand motions. Let's get it straight. Reuven has a donkey. Shimon has a cow. Okay? Reuven says to Shimon, you take possession of my cow, your donkey will be mine. Okay? Shimon takes possession of the cow. Reuven now goes to take possession of the donkey. He finds the donkey's dead.
Right.
Wait. So do we say that Shimon has to return the cow unless he proves the donkey was alive at the time of the exchange? If it was alive at the time of the exchange, there's no question. The exchange is the exchange, and it's hard luck on the one who originally owned the cow. But let's say he can't bring proof. So review this. His name is Shmuel. The one who has the cow has to return it to the one who originally owned the cow. Okay? So we ask the question from Brisa. A man sells a cow to a shochit. The shochit now finds a pin through both sides, both walls of the stomach. So it says that if he received the money, if the seller received the money, he does not have to return the money to the shochit. So the Gemara asks, but according to what you just quoted, Shmuel, that what? That until you bring proof that the donkey was alive at the time of the exchange, even though you're physically in possession of the cow, you have to relinquish the cow. So even though you're physically in possession of the money, you should have to return the money to the shochit. But we have the Mishnah, quoting Mishnah, which says not this way. So seems to be it's wrong. What you're quoting Shmuel. So Recheskel says, or Recheskel says, you know something? My brother Rabbi Yehuda is not quoting Shmuel correctly. And the burden of proof is on the one who wants to take them, extract from the other person. So that means the one who has the cow keeps the cow. As the one who had the money, the seller retains the money until the shochet proves that the whole existed before the sale. You have it straight?
Good, good.
Okay, so who has to bring, according to what we're holding now, who brings proof?
So now the person who wants the cow has to be proof.
Correct. Similar to the buyer wants his money back, he has to be proof that the defect pre-existed this original sale.
So it's like the ball who's putting a flame on the
Forget about, we're not talking about the Mishnah yet. Forget about it.
Okay.
We're not holding there.
Okay.
Okay, we're equating the cow to the case of the cow to cow.
Right.
Okay, so let's get back to the Gemara. V'tana tuna kala, and the proof is the case of kala. What's the case of kala? If the mum is found in the household of the father-in-law, he has to pay out.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, good. Meisvei. Not so simple. Meisvei. Machat shenimtzeis ba'ovi beisakosos. Quoting another brisa. You find a needle through the wall of the stomach, beisakosos. V'idlo yov tabach demei. Let's say the shochi didn't pay yet for the animal. Meaning, he bought the animal, so right now, they understand that he owes him for the value of the animal. Now the shochet slaughters it, he found it defective. Right? It says, Idlo yov tabach demei, bal behema boy lasu yirayo. The seller has to bring proof,
Because he wants his money.
because he's extracting it from the shochet.
No, take it up.
Umapik, v'amai. Sveik b'shus tabach is yolid. Here, if we're going to compare it to the Mishnah, it says wherever you find the problem, that person has to bring proof. So where did we find the animal to be defective? In the possession of the shochet. Because the Mishnah says if the defect is found in the household of the, that's the one who has to bring proof. So the same thing here. So Mer says the yov tabach demei. So what are you going to say? The tabach paid. So there, umay psoko, someone milsa kamad lo yo vinish zuzi lo yo vinish rafli. He says no, that's not a question because usually the usual situation is a seller does not give his cow till you pay cash. He doesn't give him on credit because this is the problem. He's having problem getting his money. You want my cow? Cash on the barrel. You have to pay. Now the Chachams make a differentiation. They say a man marries a woman on the condition that there's no defect. If you find a defect, we discussed it, found in the household of the father, the household of the father-in-law. Chacham says no. Medvar mum shebeseser. It's only a mum which wasn't obvious to the husband. The husband wasn't aware that it existed before, correct? But if he was aware it existed, so evidently you agreed to marry her even though she has a defect. You saw it, right? Omer Rav Nachman, v'nichpeh. What about if a woman has, what's it called? It's epilepsy. It's the falling sickness. She has epilepsy. Kumum shebeseser domi. That would be considered something which could be concealed. Why? Because the certain people, they know exactly, they have the event only at certain times. So the woman, she could conceal it. She doesn't go out. When she has a sense, she's having it. If a person cannot control it or doesn't know when, okay, so you'd say that's a mumshib begoli. It would be known. So evidently it's known, even though it's known, why did you marry her? So you agreed. But what about, it's the falling sickness, epilepsy. Someone says, Hanimil de Kovalozman. That's only if she knows when she has the event. There's a search she has, let's say, during daytime. Or during nighttime. So you know what she's going to do? During the day. She's not going out that day. So she doesn't go out, so nobody's going to know she actually has epilepsy. But let's say it's erratic. She could get this event anytime. She could have the seizure. And therefore, the marriage is a marriage. If it's something which can be determined, she can conceal it. So then the husband has a base say, I never knew about it. But it's something which cannot be predicted. That means he knew. So if he knew, he can't come now with a claim, well, I didn't know. Because he knew. Okay, now it's compared to what we just had, it's easy sailing in the next Mishnah. A man marries a woman and doesn't say a word. And then afterwards, she finds out he has serious physical defects. Is that a cancellation on the marriage? Because the woman could say, look, if I knew what was coming down the pike, I would have never married this man. Okay? Isha noldable mumin. You hear this? Initially, when he got married, he was in full. He was a full able-bodied person. And let's say he had an accident. He lost a leg, then he lost an arm, he became blind. So now this woman's life is a disaster. Right? Is that enough to say, we could say with certainty she would have never want to enter into this marriage? So, Isha noldabo mumin and kofinos lotzi. The court doesn't get involved. The marriage is a marriage. Not only that, the court does not compel the husband to divorce his wife. Even though it's difficult for the wife, you don't force the husband to divorce his wife. As they say in the secular world, for better or for worse. Okay? That's only true when the court doesn't force him. Marriage is a marriage. That's only if it's a slight defect. But if it's something which is serious where the woman can't deal with it, if he's able to divorce her, right, we force him to divorce. The marriage is a marriage, regardless. So he had a serious accident. And her life is disastrous. She can't live. She has 40 years ahead of her. Right. And now the man himself lost both legs or whatever it is. Right. The court in that case will force the husband to give her a get, let her go.
So is she suing for divorce? Or does the court decide?
She's not suing for anything. She goes to the court and says, I got a problem. I can't deal with it. When the court evaluates what the issue is, if it's serious enough, they will force the man to give a get.
The simplest case, backing up a step, the defect in the woman, we found out afterwards, the marriage is on the marriage. What if the defect in the man beforehand
and it wasn't a conditional marriage. The case before was conditional to marriage. I'm marrying with the condition there are no defects.
And let's say she puts the same thing.
Also, she said, "I'll only marry if you don't have any defects." Would be the same story, same thing.
The same thing. So
We're not differentiating between one and the other. Here we're talking about there's no precondition. The marriage is a marriage. When does the court intervene to force the man to give a get? Let's say a husband's a guy who beats his wife up every day. The court's going to get involved. They're going to force him to divorce her, right? Even though the marriage is a good marriage, but they're going to force the husband to give a get. So that's our situation. How bad does the situation have to be in regard to his defect that the courts can intervene to force him to give a get? Okay? Rabbi Yehuda Toni Noldu. Rabbi Yehuda, he reads the Noldu means it came about afterwards. Chi Barav Toni Hoyu. Yeah, that's discussion. Rabbi Yehuda says the Mishnah speaking about it, when he was married, he had no defects. It came about later. Chi Barav, his text reads Hoyu. It was found out that he always had them. You hear this? He always had these defects. And Gemara's going to ask, so why by the woman do we make a differentiation? He always had them. Mandiyam and Noldu, if it came about afterwards, right? Afterwards, Koshkim Hoyu. So if it came about afterwards, so we say Koshkim Hoyu. The Ksover of Kibla. Let's say she was really originally aware she had certain problem. He limped. And then he married another case. They got married, he didn't limp, then he started to limp. So if we're saying Hoyu, we say she agreed to it. So she started off that. We're going to say, what, that's the basis to force the husband to divorce? She accepted it. If this wasn't a problem for originally, right? Madium Anoldu, Koshkim Hoyu, the Ksavri Kibla. Right? She was aware of it. She can't say afterwards, I thought I could deal with a man who limps, now I can't. There's no such thing. Because if we're saying Noldu is not a basis to force them to divorce, so originally she agreed, definitely it's not a basis to divorce. Mandio Mahoyu, but there's another interpretation is what the mission speaking where it was. Avul Noldu lo, maybe Noldu not. There the court maybe will force him to divorce. Meaning, if a woman originally marries him, knowing it is, and she says it's okay, afterwards she says to the court, you know something, I can't deal with it. I thought I could, I can't. The court says, you know something? The way you make your bed, that's the way you sleep. Right? But if it came back afterwards, she says, look, this is something I didn't count on. There the court will intervene to force him to divorce her. Tanan, Omer Shimon Gamliel, b'medvar mu b'muvment ketanim. When do we say the court does not force? That's their minimal defects. Right? Then, if it's a serious defect, then the court will compel him to divorce. If you said happened to Hainu, the shiny, ben gedolim ketanim. Therefore, we differentiate between a more serious defect and a less serious defect. But if, let's say, the defect pre-existed. Let's say one case he limped, we'll say that's ketanim. The other one he was an amputee and he walked on a peg leg. That's gedolim. So if you're saying it was before, she agreed, right? So if she agreed, why do we differentiate between the small and the other? Either way, she says she can't handle it. So Mara says no. Meaning like this, no, we'll make a differentiation. Initially, let's say it was a limp, or it was an amputee. You say, we could make a differentiation. Even though she accepted both, you could make a differentiation. If it's a small one, you're being too petty. The average person could live with it, you could live with it. But if it's something where you accepted originally, which was out of the ordinary, you accepted it, and later the woman realizes it was too much, right? Then that's a basis, they will compel him to divorce. You following the difference? I'll give you an example. The man, he needs bed care. The woman is young, she thought, she has all the energy, and she'll do it for him. It's worthwhile to marry the man. Then she realizes it's just too much for her. She can't handle it. Right? It's a slight defect is one thing. This is just too much. The court, because it was a misjudgment and it's a reality that it's actually not allowing them to function, the court will actually force him to give her the get and to let her go. What's considered a serious mum defect? Pirush Reb Shimon Gamliel Kamo Nismis Eino. He became blind. Nikta Yodo. His arm was amputated. Nishbur Lag Raglo. His leg was broken in the way. It was equivalent paralyzed. He has no usage of his leg. That we differentiate between a small defect and a large defect. Even, right? Rav Amar Rav Nachman Alochik Divrei Chacham. Rule like the Chachamim. Okay? Meaning that we don't. That if you accept it, we don't force anybody to divorce. How could you say in the name of Reb Shimon Gamliel that we rule like the Chachamim? Reb Yochanan had said that wherever you find Reb Shimon Gamliel's position, we always rule like him. Chutz me'erev tzidim v'raya achrona. And that verse says, "B'amroi ninu alibid Reb Yochanan." It's a machlok samaram. Did Reb Yochanan ever say that or not? So if you say halokas Chachamim, that means there are other exceptions. Yeah. No, see, Reb Yochanan was saying he rules like Reb Shimon Gamliel. First, then it says Rabbi says we look at the Chacham. Somewhere says did Reb Yochanan say that? Rabbi Khan said in Reb Yochanan we always rule like Reb Shimon Gamliel. No, we say wherever we only rule like him in 3 cases. How could you say we rule like Reb Shimon Gamliel in this Mishnah? Reb Yochanan had said we only rule like Reb Shimon Gamliel only in 3 cases. So that the more says there's an argument among them. Or what did Rabbi Yochanan actually say? Did he say we always rule like Shimon Gamliel, or only in those 3 cases? Sure, tremendous difference. Elu shekov solahotzi. Okay, what are considered serious defects that the court compels the husband to give a get? Mukeshchin. That's by the woman. By the woman. By the woman. That's where it was a precondition. I will not marry you if you have a mum. That now we're not talking about that. We're talking about he marries her, no conditions are spoken about, and then he finds that she has the defect, and it's intolerable. And that's what we're talking about now. No precondition. No, there it's a precondition. Until now we speak of the precondition. I will marry only if you don't have defects. So we said, what is a defect? What you find by the Kohen. Now we're talking about something else. What's something which is not livable? You can't live with it. So he says, Elish go from the Hotzi. Mukashchin. I don't know medically what the term would be. It's a thing where his limbs of his body is totally deteriorating. Physically, he's losing any type of movement. He could lose part of his body, and he could die from this eventually. What would that condition be? No. Yeah. Balpolifus. There's a question what this means. He has terrible, a stench coming out of his mouth. You can't deal with it. Period. That's or there's a question. He has a very bad smell coming out of his nose. You hear this? It's either out of his mouth or out of his nose. Yeah, like a putrid smell coming out. Okay. Hamakamitz. Gemara says, a person was a tanner. He used to tan hides in dog excrement. So a person was in the business. He would gather excrement. You can imagine what the guy smelled like. It's just, she can't handle it. Hamitzarif Nechoshes is an argument what this means. Sarif Nechoshes means either he's a person who works with copper or he's a copper miner. When you mine copper, it has a very bad smell when you take it out of the ground. Okay? So the man is so absorbed with the smell. It's intolerable smell. Habursi. Bursi is the actual tanner himself. Bein shoyu achol nisu, bein shemishin nisu, noldu. Whether he had it when they got married or it happened afterwards, it's grounds for divorce. The court will force him to divorce. The woman says, I can't handle it. Al kula number of meir api shehisna imo yicholehi shetomar, sura yisi shani yichola lekabil. Even if she says, look, I'm marrying on the condition my profession is I'm a tanner. My profession is this. She says, I'm agreeable. And then afterwards, the woman says, I can't handle it. He doesn't make a difference. Mayor says that's grounds the court will